Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million online rendezvous. This is Sramana Mitra, founder and CEO of 1M by 1M, coming to you live from Silicon Valley. This is part of our programming for the accelerator. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And we work with tech startups and tech-enabled services startups only, but no matter where you are, we are happy to work with you. We are live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And what we do in these sessions is a bunch of Q&A. If you are looking for feedback on your particular startup venture, please come to one of our online public roundtables. These are free roundtables that happen over a WebEx call. You need to go to our website, 1mby1m.com, and go to the free public roundtable section. You will find there the whole schedule as well as registration links. If you register to pitch, you will get instructions on how to prepare for the pitch session. And that's the way for us to work together on your venture, strategize, brainstorm. These are safe working sessions, the roundtables, and they happen on Thursday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So I hope to see some of you at those sessions and work with you on your particular projects. Today, what I'm going to do is once again go through a bunch of questions. Now, you may have seen this and maybe you even have voted for it. We ran a poll last week on what topics do you want to see covered in these sessions. And the overwhelming winner of the topics that we polled on was startup ideas. So you are going to see more discussion of startup ideas, especially, right now, there's going to be a lot of discussion on post-COVID startup ideas as well. Today, I'm going to focus on, solopreneur startup ideas, small-scale startup ideas. Next week, we'll focus on larger unicorn ideas as well. So we're going to do a few sessions specifically focused on startup ideas. We also asked you other topics, asked you to vote on other topics that you want to hear about. And the votes that we got actually spanned probability of fundraising, bootstrapping techniques as well. So we are going to continue to cover those topics also. So anyway, let's get started. I'm going to go to the first question. And by the way, you should feel free to ask your questions in whichever platform you're joining from. If you have questions, just put in your questions into that particular platform's public chat area, conversation area. And I will come and dialogue with you after the video section of this presentation is over. And if we see questions that warrant being included in a follow-on session, we will include them in next week's sessions. These online rendezvous we are doing every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So we will have lots of opportunity to work with you on these sessions. Okay. So let me go to the first question. And the first question is there a startup idea to help women return to the workforce? Very interesting. I have actually quite a strong feeling about this topic. As I think through the solutions needed to help people reconfigure their careers, there is a very relevant issue, which is older women trying to get back to the workforce. I know Too many talented women who are now in their 40s and 50s and some even in their 60s looking to start to work again. Their travels are gut-wrenching. The 10, 20-year gaps in their resumes stare back at them like menacing, identity-destroying demons. Once again, there's a tremendous opportunity for these women to add value to the economy with their own unique skills. They do need training. Their skills are outdated. They do need help thinking through the kinds of jobs and skills that are in demand currently. They do need help connecting the dots. But the dots are there waiting to be connected. And here's an example of what you can do as an entrepreneur. One thing we often see small businesses struggle with is hiring sales reps. I've heard so many startup CEOs lament the difficulty in finding people who are willing to sell either with a low base compensation or with a commission-only compensation. This is a clear gap in the market. And with proper training and guidance in specific niches, older women with sales skills can easily carve a place for themselves. I'd like to see 100 entrepreneurs, 100 solopreneurs step up who will create companies that pull together women with sales experience who have been off the saddle for a while and want to get back on. I want these entrepreneurs to pick specific niches. Software as a service, sales focused on SMEs, healthcare IT sales focused on physicians' offices, marketing technology sales focused on retail, restaurants, and hospitality businesses, whatever. I mean, at the moment in the COVID era, retail, restaurants, hospitality may not be the most active areas, but marketing technology is being sold. MarTech is a very, very heavy duty area in software sales, and it is being sold to many, many, many different segments. So you figure out a type of product, you figure out a type of customer base, you figure out a vertical perhaps, and train these women trying to get back to work on how to sell that software. Specialization is the operating word here. These women will need to have specialized training, specialized target segments, and be paired with companies with products in those niches. You do need to validate this, but I believe many of these women would pay 5K to 10K to regain another 10 to 20 years of professional lives, as well as a path to getting back to making 100K, 200K, 500K a year. Sales compensations tend to be big compensations. If you're successful in selling, you can make a lot of money. So once people can start becoming productive in a sales role, the compensations can be terrific. So now let us say there would be 100 such companies focused on different niches, led by 100 different entrepreneurs, handling the retraining of 100 women each. Let's say a total of 10,000 women. That would mean also 100 entrepreneurs building $500K to $1 million plus revenue businesses. These are not venture fundable businesses, but these are livelihood building businesses. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to get going, you can come talk to me. You can use the 1 million by 1 million program, and I'll be happy to work with you to, build up the idea, validate, and put one foot before the other on how you want to build the business. There is a related question. Is there a startup idea to help older laid off engineers? So, there are, in every downturn, there are issues with people losing jobs and needing to find other employment or, other opportunities. The technology industry right now, given where we are in the post-COVID era, or right now in the middle of the COVID era, but COVID, post-COVID, engineering, actually the startup industry, the technology industry are doing very well. But there is, still a bit of a bias against older engineers. When people lay off workers, they often lay off older engineers. So I would like to brainstorm about some ideas for older engineers, and especially if they have their primary skill sets in an outdated domain. A large number of these engineers would need training in an engineering domain that's currently in demand. But many of them are extremely skilled engineers. Perhaps they won't be designing or verifying chips going forward, but they do have the intellectual horsepower to rapidly learn a new field of engineering. What would be interesting is for new startups to create niche solutions to take a mid-career or late-career professional and help him or her through this transition, all the way from selecting which domain to go into, designing the retraining program, followed by placement within that domain. All three pieces are important: selecting the domain, designing the retraining program, and the placement within that domain. For example, there could be a company built around this transition in the field of cybersecurity. It's a hot field, and providing a well-analyzed articulation of what the employers are looking for in that field and how to acquire those skills, as well as connecting the dots with the right employers, would be very, very exciting. And you also need to understand what kind of credentialing is required to endorse that, yes, this person has gone through this kind of training. Similar solution could be designed around data science, which is a very big field right now, machine learning, IT architecture, marketing analytics, MarTech. For people with less advanced engineering skills, fields could be different. Ruby on Rails programming, Python, database administration. In fact, such a company could be paid by the tech companies that are downsizing to retrain their employees and be part of the outplacement process. Let us say a new startup can handle the retraining and placement of 100 employees, paid for by their employers at $5,000 to $10,000 per person. That's a $500K to $1 million revenue scope. Let us say there would be 100 such companies focusing on different niches, handling the retraining of 10,000 people with different backgrounds, who come from different backgrounds. Some companies specialize in training people coming from a particular industry, a particular type of skill set. Another company specializes in another niche. So the background matters. What background are you bringing people out of matters, and what skill set you're equipping them with matters. But this could be interesting ways in which solo entrepreneurs could build $1 million+ revenue businesses. Again, not venture fundable businesses, but just revenue generating, livelihood generating businesses. It's a good idea, and many of you can do it in different niches if that's what you're looking for. I know there are a lot of solo entrepreneurs, or either solopreneurs or people trying to become solopreneurs around. And by the way, for this category of entrepreneurs, I also recommend bootstrapping with a paycheck. If you have a job, hold on to the job and start building your business while you hold on to your job, as opposed to quitting the job and starting completely with no money coming into the process. So the next question actually is a direct question. Do you have any startup ideas for a solopreneur to execute on? So I actually just gave you 2 startup ideas for solopreneurs. I'll give you a third one. Do you know Haro, Haro? It stands for Help a Reporter Out. In case you do not know about the service, you should. It's a site that has gathered numerous journalists and businesses, including a large number of small businesses. Journalists place queries for sources, and businesses, experts, respond. I use the service extensively for my stories. I have used it for years. If you're interested in having me cover your story, please keep an eye on my queries on Haro. I am thinking, though, that of something different as a business opportunity. Today, around the world, there are numerous small businesses. They all need publicity to get the word out about their respective products and services. Journalists are also looking for global sources. I certainly am, since the 1 million by 1 million agenda is 100% global. However, I don't receive as many global pitches as I would like to. The pitches I get are mostly from North America. So how about a service that specifically focuses on recruiting global SMBs and global journalists? I would be interested in using such a service. So what would be the business model for such a business, such a venture? Well, Haro is free for both sides. They make money through ads, at least that's what they did until Focus PR bought them. Nowadays, I don't know if they make much money at all. I'm also not sure how much Vocus is investing in building out the footprint further, especially on a global scale. I think, and you would need to validate this assumption also, that if you charge a small subscription fee for such a service from the small business, say $10 a month, and you have a quality set of journalists using the service, you may be able to build a niche SaaS business, a small one, perhaps, but for a solopreneur, this could also be a nice side business or even a core business. Let's do a back of the envelope calculation. $10, let's say 2,500 businesses subscribe, you've got a 25,000 a month business. You would need to recruit 2,500 paying customers. And that's pretty good. That's, $300,000 a year. You can do that. A solopreneur can do that. So that's a very good solopreneur idea. And if you can grow it beyond 2,500 paying customers, great, wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to go to something a bit more complex, which is what could be good ideas for artificial intelligence startups. AI is a very hot field in tech startups right now, and very crowded field also. So I would advise you to focus on vertical domain-specific AI-enabled solutions as opposed to broad horizontal platforms. This could be in any domain in which you have solid insights, from financial services to insurance to healthcare to automotive to logistics to retail, whatever. Whatever area, whatever domain you have insights in is fine. But find a problem that gains serious value from the application of AI. And ensure that you have a strategy to get to the data upon which you would apply your AI algorithms. AI algorithms need data sets to train them. So if you don't have a strategy for getting to the data, you will not be able to train your machine learning algorithm. So that's my general guidance on how to think about a problem to zero in on. Typically business model-wise, it would be a cloud business model. You would most likely build a SaaS company, software as a service company with a monthly subscription revenue. Let me also give you a couple of resources to look at. We do a Thought Leaders in Artificial Intelligence series on our blog. At the end of every interview, I ask people, the interviewees, what are the open problems in their segment? You can look for ideas in there. Our Big Data series also has the same format. To access these, you go to our blog, so it's on 1mby1m.com, you go to blog, then on the left navigation panel, you will see topics. That topic includes artificial intelligence, which leads you into our Thought Leaders in AI series. Big data leads you into our Thought Leaders in Big Data series, and so on. So, for instance, we did a story, Thought Leaders in Artificial Intelligence, Shantanu Nigam, CEO of JV on. Shantanu talks about healthcare related AI problems. So I would say this would give you an opportunity to immerse yourselves in what's happening by way of startups in the AI space and see what resonates with you. And that will trigger ideas. I think on this one, I will give you process more than specific ideas, because you need to have domain knowledge to be able to get into the successfully building an AI startup. My domain knowledge is not going to help you. Unless you have domain knowledge, it's going to be very difficult for you to build an AI startup. So the next question is, how can I approach big IT companies for business? I have a few great big data product ideas and work experience. Big data and AI are kind of interrelated. Big data is data that requires machine learning to model and to work with. So they're very, very related issues. So what you are asking is kind of like part of the process of building an AI company or a big data company, B2B AI company. And it sounds like you want to sell to big IT companies. So it's great. You need to talk to these companies to validate your idea. If you have a couple of ideas, that's fine. And if you have domain knowledge in those ideas, those domains, that's great. But I would say you shouldn't approach big companies right away. You kind of need to assess the viability of each of your ideas and finalize one to work on. As pointer, I would suggest you go look at the self-assessment on our website, 1mby1m.com. It's a free tool you can use to test your ideas. It's basically a series of questions, due diligence questions, that investors normally ask entrepreneurs. So what I want you to do is use that same framework and think of yourself as the first major investor in the idea that you are evaluating, and see if the idea has legs. And once you go through this due diligence, you will have a much better sense of how to present that idea when you do go to talk to large companies. And then you should approach large companies. So again, I've done a lot of open problem discussions in the Thought Leaders in Big Data series on our blog. Ganesh Keshari, co-founder and head of analytics of Gramener, for instance, is one person who I discussed open problems with in data visualization. It's an area that needs still work, and Ganesh discussed what are the open problems in that space. You could look at that interview. That's an interesting one. I did a discussion on Thought Leaders in Big Data with Harry Glazer, who's the CEO of Periscope, on integration issues within the big data space. So, I would say dig around those two spaces on our blog, Thought Leaders in Big Data and Thought Leaders in AI, and get a feel for what people are doing and how they're doing what they're doing. It will give you ideas, and also use the self-assessment to evaluate your ideas, see if it makes sense, and then you can start approaching big companies. Now, let me also address the question of how can you approach big companies. LinkedIn is a very good place where you can identify whom you're going to sell to. Now, a big company is not one entity. Who is the person, the individual that you're going to be approaching within a big company? What is the job title? What is the expertise that this person needs to have for him or her to resonate with your idea is very important. So you need to find the right person and do your research on LinkedIn and create a lead list. And then you need to, approach them either directly or through introductions. If you are in the 1M by 1M program, we introduce people to our network very consistently. So in 1M by 1M Premium, we have the facility of connecting the dots and introducing people to members of our network. But if you're doing it on your own, you're either going to have to do it with cold contacts or you're going to have to do it with introductions within your network. The next question is, what are the best online resources for investment news, startups, ideas, discussions on e-commerce? So specifically, e-commerce related discussions. E-commerce is a very crowded space. There are millions of e-commerce companies right now. However, there are always niche e-commerce opportunities. Plus, there are key trends you should pay attention to. Vertical marketplaces is a key trend. SaaS-powered vertical marketplaces is a further nuanced variation on that trend. Personalization is one of the most important trends in the segment. Experiential shopping online is a variation of that trend where you can really push the envelope. So again, we do a series called Thought Leaders in E-commerce on the 1M blog. You can read that for details on the sector. We do a lot of coverage. So I guess in terms of where to look for information and where to look for coverage, the 1M blog is a good place. And in particular, the Thought Leaders in E-commerce series is a very good place to look for. As an example, Upler is a company that we brought onto the series. Grégoire Chauvin is the CEO of Upler, and he did a wonderful discussion with me on B2B marketplaces. It's an important trend. B2B marketplaces is a very important trend. So I would say, these are good places to look. Another great pointer I'm going to give you is, we do the 1M roundtables I talked about earlier, where we do the online mentoring. In those sessions, I usually have a guest in the beginning of the show, and that's usually an investor, sometimes entrepreneur, but more often than not these days, it's investors. So Garrett Goldberg, partner at B Partners, came onto the show on April 23rd, 2020, just a few months ago. Garrett discussed his firm's enterprise-focused investment thesis, including some unique insights on SaaS-powered vertical marketplaces. SaaS-powered vertical marketplaces is a trend that I really like. You should look at it. It has a combination of software as a service subscription revenues and transaction revenues, which are marketplace commissions. So you will find a lot of interesting ideas on e-commerce in there, in all these different resources that I've just pointed you to. Okay, so I think that would bring me to the last question for the day. And that question is, how can I get feedback from you on my venture? So you want feedback from me. I would say the best way to do that would be to go to our website, 1m1m.com, go to free public roundtables. You will find a schedule and a description of our free mentoring sessions. Those happen over a WebEx call on Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. Pacific time. So the next few are June 25th, July 2nd, July 9th, July 16th, July 23rd, and July 30th, all at 8 a.m. Pacific time. You can register to pitch or to attend. If you want to listen to a few sessions before you come and pitch, that's fine too. This is where I would be able to look at your project and specifically give you feedback on your venture and the situation you are in. How do you put one foot before the other? What is the best way to remove your roadblocks, and so on and so forth. So, we have done over 150,000 people. We've had over 150,000 attendees in these sessions. We've done over 490 sessions. We started doing these back in 2008, in the fall of 2008, as an experiment. And then out of that experiment emerged the idea of this online accelerator, the 1 million by 1 million global virtual accelerator. And that's 1M by 1M was launched in 2010. So we're talking 10 years of, running this accelerator plus several years of experimentation before that. So there's a lot of experience and expertise that I've accumulated on this platform, and you're more than welcome to come and use the platform, take advantage of it. And the way I look at it is you get to stand on the shoulders of other people. It's a case study based program. We have over 1,000 case studies of successful entrepreneurs, including 100 plus unicorns, 400 plus venture funded companies, another 400 plus bootstrap companies. And all of these are available, all these case studies are available for free on the blog under Entrepreneur Journeys. And then we have built the entire 1M by 1M digital curriculum, which is taught in case studies, video lectures, and video interviews. All that is based on this body of work. So if you want to go straight to the curriculum and get more structured learning, you need to sign up for 1M by 1M Basic. That's only $99 a month. And then if you want the full program, including regular weekly coaching and mentoring, strategy consulting, whatever you call it, access to our network, investor network, customers, channel partners, etc., I would join the 1M by 1M Premium program, which is $1,000 annual membership fee. Whatever way you choose to engage is fine. We have lots of free touch points, and then we have a lot of reasonably priced touch points as well. So figure out how you want to learn. We do recommend that you spend time studying, because there are lots of obvious mistakes that first-time entrepreneurs make, and there is no need to make those mistakes. We can help you learn how to navigate without making those avoidable mistakes. And that's one of the stated goals of 1 million by 1 million, is to avoid infant entrepreneur mortality. We don't want you to go out of business unnecessarily. So that's it. And by the way, we believe very, very much in the philosophy, entrepreneurship equals customers, revenues, and profits. Financing is optional, exit is optional. So you don't need to build a unicorn company or $1 billion company to be a successful entrepreneur. Today, in this session, I discussed a bunch of solopreneur ideas that are $300,000, $500,000, $1 million revenue opportunities. And that's fine. If that's what's comfortable for you, do that. No problem. You have our respect in whatever way you want to crack the entrepreneurship code, as long as you build revenues and profits, because otherwise you go out of business, and that's not desirable. All right, folks, I will see you next time. Maybe I will see you on Thursday at a roundtable, or next week at one of these rendezvous sessions. Thank you for coming. I really enjoyed spending time with you, and I will be available to answer questions in the public chat in whichever platform you're dialing from. Bye-bye, everybody.